Of the 6 Kingdom Hearts games released from 2009 to 2010, Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash is definitely the worst. But just because it's locked in a race to the bottom of the tier list, it doesn't mean that it lacks secrets to share. Magical Puzzle Clash may have been left behind and forgotten by the Kingdom Hearts fanbase, but today I'll show you why this game is a fascinating relic, and why we were probably right to leave it behind in 2009. Let's begin. Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash is equal parts interesting, infuriating, and bizarre. It was released as a Flash game exclusive to the Disney website in 2009 that has since been discontinued. Keeping with series tradition, the full stylized name is a stack of subtitles, Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 Magical Puzzle Clash. According to the metadata of the .swf Flash file, the exact release date is October 12, 2009, precisely 13 days after the North American release of Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2. In this game, you can choose to play as Roxas, Xion, or Axel. Before anyone gets any grand ideas about hidden lore, let me clarify that Magical Puzzle Clash is entirely non-canon, not that it has much in the way of story regardless. But today I'm feeling risky and, quite frankly, effervescent, so let's pretend for a moment that this is an essential pillar of the Kingdom Hearts continuity. The plot rundown is given to us by these instructions and... Oh. I don't think they realize that Axel isn't actually a Keyblade bearer in the Organization 8. So yeah, this game only exists as an advertisement for days, so set your expectations accordingly. It's Bejeweled by Kingdom Hearts. Okay, I swear there's more to it, just hear me out on this one. Magical Puzzle Clash is, at its core, a match 3 puzzle game with a Kingdom Hearts coat of paint. However, instead of earning points or clearing a certain number of tokens, the goal of each level is to win a duel against a Heartless. When you make a match of 3 or more tokens, the enemy takes damage based on the number of tokens cleared. The player deals 2 HP of damage to the enemy per token, while enemies deal only 1 HP of damage to the player. Given that standard enemies begin the level with the same amount of HP as the player, this may seem awfully one-sided, but the heart of the challenge lies in the special tokens. The first type of special token is power-ups. Matching 4 tokens will create a Row Destroyer, a power-up which, true to its name, clears an entire row of tokens. Matching 5 or more tokens creates the Crossroad Destroyer power-up, which clears both a row and a column. By using these ordinary power-ups enough times, a special character power-up will spawn. Roxas' power-up will destroy all tokens of a given color, Xion's will morph tokens into different colors, and Axel's will instantly collect a number of random tokens. The second type of special token is spells. Unlike power-ups, which can be activated anywhere on the board, spells can only be used once they are dropped to the bottom row. Doing so will add the spell to your inventory, where it can be cast at any time. Different spells are available depending on the level and which character you are, and enemies will also have their own spell pool. There are 17 different spells, most of which are named after magic from the Kingdom Hearts games. We have 3 damaging spells, Thunder, Lazara, and Firaga, which deal 10, 25, and 40% of the opponent's HP, respectively. On the other end, we have 3 healing spells, Cure, Cura, and Curaga, which heal 10, 30, and 60% of the caster's HP. Most of the remaining spells are debuffs, altering the opponent's board. Block prevents new tokens from spawning, Slow makes all tokens move slower, Confusion makes all tokens look the same, Remove and Remove Spell delete power-ups and spells on the opponent's board, Randomizer randomly swaps the position of 12 tokens, and Freeze, Petrify, and Blind all make certain tokens inaccessible. Any of these debuffs can be removed with the Remedy spell, except for Silence, which prevents the opponent from casting spells of their own. Now that we know how to play, let's get into the game itself. I hope you enjoy Sinister Sundown, since you'll be hearing it in every level and menu for the next half hour. There are 5 worlds, each with 5 levels, making for a total of 25 levels. The final level of each stage is a boss battle, which mostly amounts to a larger HP pool, accompanied by a poorly looped and heavily compressed version of Tension Rising. The 5 stages are Agrabah, Wonderland, Olympus Coliseum, Neverland, and Beast's Castle. We enter the first level and something doesn't seem right. What's with this background? It's certainly not from the games, and it doesn't look like any Cage concept art I've ever seen. But there's no way such a low-effort game had unique background art made for it, right? On the other hand, every world has this split diagonal design, which is clearly an intentional decision to work around the puzzle board and UI. So what's going on here? The answer is that the backgrounds were actually made for Magical Puzzle Clash, but a lot of the details are copied from original Disney artwork. The Olympus Coliseum background, for instance, bears a heavy resemblance to this piece of concept art and these screenshots from the film. More screenshots from the Disney movies seem to be used as the base of Agrabah and Beast's Castle, and this bonus disc concept art is the base of half of Wonderland, but I haven't been able to track down the other half of the artwork for these backgrounds. Likewise, I'm not sure where either half of Neverland came from, but I expect it follows the same pattern as the others. At the very least, the connective clouds, dunes, and hedges seem to be original, which is still more effort than I was expecting from this Flash game. Now, let's get into the game itself, for real this time. Our first opponent is a Shadow. There are two unique rules for this first duel. Neither side gets any spells, and the player deals 1 HP of damage per token instead of 2. Depending on which character you're playing as, the different color tokens will drop at different rates, which is true for all levels. In general, Roxas gets more blue Mickey and green Crown tokens, Xion gets more yellow Keyblade and pink Nobody tokens, and Axel gets more red Heart and orange Heartless tokens. However, in the early levels, we only have the red, green, yellow, and blue tokens to work with. Level 2 is against a Scarlet Tango, and level 3 is against a Fire Plant. For these two duels, the player has access to all 3 damaging and healing spells, as well as slow. The enemies have Block and Freeze as their spells, which doesn't make too much sense for these two fire-based Heartless, but we'll look past it since there are worse mistakes to come. It seems like all of the Agrabah levels are pretty good at picking Heartless that actually appear in Agrabah, since next up is the Deserter. In Days, the Deserter runs away at high speeds and is non-combative until Roxas attacks, and this is represented pretty well here. All characters get Blind and Slow to help pin the enemy down, while the Deserters have access to Block and Cure. The boss battle is against the Large Armor. This fight is the first time the spells are different for each player character. All 3 members of the Sea Salt trio have Remove and Silence, but Roxas also has Cure, Xion has Block, and Axel has both Block and Blind. The Large Armor only attacks with Confusion, which is more annoying than it is difficult. Wonderland is next, and 4 out of the 5 Heartless featured here are Wonderland exclusive in Days. Up first is the Sapphire Elegy, whose sole spell is Cura. For all of Wonderland, the player has access to Blind, Block, and Slow. Starting with the second opponent, the Blizzard Plant, Roxas can cast Freeze, Xion can cast Randomizer, and Axel can cast Silence. Upon reaching level 7, we unlock the Orange Heartless token. In this fight, the Blizzard Plant does not have access to Freeze, that would make too much sense, and is instead saddled with Block and Cura. The third enemy is the Tricky Monkey, whose only spell is Freeze, because of course. The Pink Concerto is next, attacking with Block and Freeze for no particular reason I can think of. At least Wonderland finishes off strong with the Lurk Lizard, whose constant use of the Blind spell mirrors their ability to turn invisible in Days. The third stage is Olympus Coliseum, Olympus, which features 5 Heartless that are exclusive to this world in Days. We will unlock the purple Nobody token on level 13, which is a nice touch. That said, none of the spell choices here are particularly inspired, so we can speed past the Flare Note, Lil Cannon, Jumbo Cannon, and Clay Armor to make it to the boss of this world, the Morning Star. This spiked menace is an easy pick for the worst fight in the game. Around 70% of the time, the Morning Star will cast Petrify, transforming 4 of your tokens into useless stones. These are an absolute pain to deal with, since unlike Freeze, which goes away with time, petrified blocks are stuck on your board until you can get them to the bottom row. And while you're busy dealing with these boulders, the Morningstar will take the opportunity to pile on more rocks, or, if it hits a 30% chance, cast Kiraga, and heal 60% of its overly generous HP bar. If you're playing as Roxas or Axel, you get Remedy 20% of the time, or to 15% of the time for Xion, but this is a small consolation. Casting Remedy only removes 1 set of petrified blocks, doing little to speed up the duel. The icing on this putrid cake is that everything I said could just not happen. This game is so RNG dependent that sometimes the Morningstar doesn't even cast a single spell. So next time the Morningstar is pelting Roxas with pebbles, remember that it actively chose to make your journey miserable. And on the occasions where the Morningstar wakes up in the morning and doesn't choose violence, the beatdown we give it isn't even satisfying. It just sits there and twiddles its spiked thumbs as we bring its life story to an unfortunate denouement. Now please, I want to move on. Neverland is, thankfully, a bit of a break. The resident Heartless are all pretty easy to deal with, though the game has tossed away any semblance of cohesion with the enemy's spell assignments. After breezing through the Turquoise March, which mistakenly uses the Emerald Serenade's health bar sprite, we reach the true turning point of the game. Level 17, the Air Battler. The duel itself is unremarkable, but this level marks the point at which the developers gave up. From here on out, the spawn rate for player tokens, the player's available spells, and the relative spawn frequencies of each spell are all fixed. Roxas is permanently left with Confusion, Remedy, Block, Freeze, and Remove spell, Shion is given Confusion, Remedy, Blind, Petrify, and Randomizer, and Axel has Confusion, Remedy, Block, Remove, and Silence. The only things that change between levels anymore are the HP totals and the enemy spells. However, we're now running into a different problem. This game is a drag. I don't think I've expressed how excruciating the gameplay is, but now that there's no more variation in the spells, the flaws in this bare-bones puzzle system begin to stick out more and more. It doesn't help that enemies are beginning to have way too much HP. Sure, you can dispatch the Bubble Beat, Wave Crest, and the real Emerald Serenade without much issue, but you're going to need to match 300 to 400 tokens per level, and it only gets worse from here. The final stage, Beat's Castle, is just more of the same. The only notable thing about the first level, the Possessor, is that they misspelled the name. The next level, the Bad Dog, doesn't even have that. Level 23 is against the Sergeant, who only casts Freeze and Petrify. Compared to the Morning Star, this fight is easier thanks to her higher HP, but nearly as frustrating. After felling the Snapper Dog without much issue, we reach the final boss of Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash, the Neo Shadow. Unlike every other enemy, which have between 1 and 4 spells in their arsenal, the Neo Shadow has access to 8. Blind, Block, Confusion, Curaga, Freeze, Petrify, Remove, and Remove spell. They are also twice as likely to get a spell compared to normal enemies, and are the only opponent to boast an HP total of over 1000. The fight is a battle of endurance and a lesson in tedium, but thankfully not much of a challenge. The Neo Shadow defeated, we are presented with our reward for persevering through this slog of a puzzle game. A victory message is displayed. Congratulations, you cleared the 5. And then an advertisement for days. And then the game restarts. I endured this game 3 times casually, once as each character, and then several more times while testing the mechanics. This is a fate I would not wish upon my worst enemy. Only after completing this grueling pilgrimage did I learn the secret to enjoying Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash. Cheating. By looking inside the game's code, I was able to discover a number of cheat codes. The most important one is Shift-Enter, which makes you instantly win the current level. Marginally less useful is Shift-Zero, which makes the enemy instantly win the current level. The other cheats allow you to swap the background image, add spells to your inventory, and instantly cast spells from the player's or enemy's perspective. These suck all of the challenge out of the game, but I'd rather spend 30 seconds smashing Shift-Enter than 30 minutes swapping tokens and listening to Sinister Sundown on loop. Side note, the cheats also made gathering footage for this video infinitely easier, since I didn't have to rely on RNG to get clips of each spell. I've shown off quite a few of the game's mistakes so far, but Magical Puzzle Clash truly never misses a chance to incorporate an error or inconsistency. We've already covered how Organization 13 lost 6 members, how Axel is not, in fact, a Keyblade bearer, how the Possessor's name is misspelled, how the Turquoise March is practicing its Emerald Serenade cosplay, and how Olympus arrived in the Kingdom Hearts series 10 years early, but still the list goes on. Other mistakes include mislabeling Blind as Obscure, mislabeling Worlds as Realms, and misspelling Remove spell during gameplay. On top of that, Remove spell mistakenly uses the icon for Remove in the instructions, and the Lurk Lizard's name uses a lowercase font, unlike every other Heartless in the game. I'm quite sure there's more to dig into here, and trust me when I say I would not pass up an opportunity to ridicule Magical Puzzle Clash, but these are the only clear errors I noticed in my playthroughs. I noticed another one during editing though. The Emerald Serenade is just called Emerald. If you spot any more, do not hesitate to let me know. I mentioned that I discovered the cheat codes by looking through the game's code, but as I was going through the files, something was beginning to feel off. Why are there huge sections of code that go completely unused? Why are there stats for an AI-controlled sea salt trio? Why does the Keyblade Mouse sprite file name mention a wizard special puzzle instead of the king special puzzle? To answer those questions, allow me to introduce you to another game, the true secret behind Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash. This is Wizards of Waverly Place Magic Duel. The entirety of Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash was built off the back of Wizards of Waverly Place Magic Duel. I wouldn't think a Disney Channel teen sitcom from 2007 has much in common with Kingdom Hearts, but with more live-action properties entering the series and KH4 on the horizon, maybe Nomura was trying to tell us something. Quick addendum, while I was in the middle of producing this video, Disney announced a Wizards of Waverly Place reboot, so I'm just saying it's not completely out of the picture. Anyway, this explains every oddity in the Magical Puzzle Clash files. In Wizards of Waverly Place, all 3 player characters are also the enemies, which explains the leftover stats for computer-controlled Roxas, Axel, and Shion. When a spell is cast, a character says equip, which explains the identical leftover dialogue in Magical Puzzle Clash. The spells are named differently, which explains why the file names of the spells in Magical Puzzle Clash are so strange. Even though Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash is a clone of Wizards of Waverly Place Magic Duel, it's not devoid of effort. They did introduce several additional spells, create the HP mechanic instead of just having token requirements, and put in different backgrounds for the different stages instead of having the same purple gradient the whole time. They also removed some features, such as timed battles, which were even more dull than normal gameplay. The Wizards of Waverly Place game also has unique title screen music, but there's a trade-off. The lack of boss battles means there's only one battle track, and would you believe me if I told you it doesn't loop correctly? One final note about Wizards of Waverly Place Magic Duel. When starting the game, it plays a short cutscene. Unsurprisingly, the data for this cutscene is still in the Kingdom Hearts version, but some of the legend on the development team thought it would be a good idea to just swap in the names of the Kingdom Hearts characters, and I'm honestly disappointed this wasn't kept for the final release. Hey, so after editing the script, I realized that I had nowhere to put this last little piece of information, so it goes here now. I believe that Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash was created by a Spanish-speaking team or developer. A lot of the code is commented in Spanish, and even some files use Spanish names, such as the orange menu background titled BG Naranja. Kingdom Hearts Magical Puzzle Clash is more than just a generic Match 3 puzzle game. It's also a disappointment. It will take more than a hastily cobbled together Kingdom Hearts paint job to make me enjoy a poor clone in an already oversaturated puzzle game genre. There are better block-based puzzle games out there. There are even better Kingdom Hearts block-based puzzle games out there. Now, it's not like I didn't have fun with this project. I certainly did appreciate the subtle Kingdom Hearts references, such as new tokens being unlocked at level 7 and 13, and the Lurk Lizard using the blind spell. But the experience is marred by a litany of oversights, errors, and inconsistencies, delivered in one of the most grating and repetitive grinds in the series. Despite all the negative things I've said in the last 2 paragraphs, I do quite love Magical Puzzle Clash. It's fascinating to see what Disney would do with the Kingdom Hearts license back in the day, and if you're a fan of the series with 30 minutes to spare, I encourage you to go and try out Magical Puzzle Clash yourself. You might even have the tiniest bit of fun, assuming you're not doing multiple playthroughs over several hours to collect data and gather footage. All of the necessary information for how to play it is in the description, along with a link to the KH Wiki article, where I've included the full table of enemy stats, spell and token spawn rates, power-up descriptions, cheats, and more. Now, in the words of Roxas, goodbye.